What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorian. Tonight, episode 12 of season 5 Fear the Walking Dead breakdown and review. Let's hop right into this episode. So this episode has two major plot points tonight. One's kind of major and one's kind of, I guess you could say, a side plot point that's actually very quick to go through. But the first plot point features Charlie, a rabbi, and John and June. So the episode begins with a new character, the rabbi, doing some form of Jewish ritual in his synagogue. While doing his ritual, he hears a walker from outside and everything, so he grabs his gun and goes outside to kill the walker. He kills it, but discovers an opening in his gates. He goes to close the opening to his gates until he sees more walkers that might have gone through, the gates. He goes to kill them, but on the last walker, he gets knocked over and starts to panic with the walker on top of him. He's struggling until the car door above him swings open, knocking the walker off of him and on his side. He basically gets up, kills the walker and everything, and it's revealed that the person that swung the door open is Charlie. The rabbi gets up, and kind of introduces himself to Charlie and everything. He basically says, "Who are you?" and everything, and is really cool about it and everything. He's like, "Oh, come inside," and everything. So they kind of go inside the synagogue and everything, and time passes to the next morning where Charlie wakes up inside the synagogue and everything, and the rabbi's nowhere to be found. She walks outside and sees the rabbi picking off walkers with the knife on his gun and everything, which looks like a really cool weapon. When she asks to help and everything, they both start stabbing the walkers through the gates and everything, and they kind of talk about religion a little bit and have some funny banter until the rabbi realizes that he has to go inside and everything to start a new ritual and everything inside the synagogue. He opens up a scroll and everything and starts a ritual with Charlie and everything. While in the middle of his ritual, the light in the church starts to flicker and he panics and everything, saying he needs a new battery and everything, which, before it goes out. Charlie goes and sits in one of the rows and contacts June and John to tell them where she is, because obviously she ran away and everything to get there in the first place. Charlie tells them that she found a place where they can stay and everything and settle down, because obviously that's been the thing that they've been looking for this season, is where they can settle down or whatever, and she tells them to bring a car battery. While this is happening, they hear another walker from out the outside and everything, and they both go outside to kill it. The rabbi goes, tells Charlie and everything to go inside back into the synagogue, while he goes and sees if there's another gap in the gate. He walks around and everything to find another gap in the gate and everything until he finds this other place and everything inside, the gates and everything that's actually basically has a ton of walkers inside of it. He kind of panics and runs for, this building that has tons of walkers that are escaping out of it and everything. He kind of nails all the wooden paddle shut and everything and basically closes the door to prevent any of the walkers from getting on the outside and everything, inside of his gates or whatever. So time passes and June and John have arrived at the synagogue and they get the light working with the new battery. The rabbi thanks them and then they have some nice conversations. Charlie and June leave to go fix the fences while John and the rabbi have some funny dialogue and everything, because they actually do work really well together, and I think because John and the rabbi are really funny together. While June and Charlie are outside, Charlie argues that the synagogue is a place for them to call home, but June says no. Time flies again. They're inside the synagogue drinking wine until they hear another walker from the outside of the synagogue. They open the door assuming it's only a few walkers, but when they open the door they see at least 30 walkers. The rabbi tells them to close the door and everything, and they close the door and everything and start to think of a plan. They go to the roof to see a way out until the rabbi reveals the walkers were some of his people and basically a backstory of him. So he reveals that all the walkers were once his group and everything and all of his people, but one day he went on a run, came back, and they were all walkers inside of a building because they locked themselves in there and everything so they wouldn't, invade the whole camp. John finally thinks of a plan to use a ladder to go roof to car roof and everything to eventually get out and get the walkers away from the synagogue. So John and June scale down to start scaling from car to car and everything. All goes smoothly until John trips and almost gets bitten and everything, but eventually gets to the car, next car and everything safely. June tries to get a ladder on a fence, but eventually breaks and everything, and John and June are now trapped on top of a car. Back to Charlie and the rabbi. They argue about something until the rabbi thinks of a last resort plan. John and June are still trapped on top of the car and everything until they hear a horn from inside the synagogue. The doors fly open and Charlie starts to yell for the walkers to come towards the building. It turns out the rabbi is blowing a horn. The walkers leave John and June and everything and start to head for the synagogue. Charlie and the rabbi go up to the roof and everything once all the walkers are in. June and John kill the remaining walkers and get towards the synagogue doors and everything, shut them and ply them just shut with a bunch of materials. So eventually, after killing all the walkers and securing all the walkers inside the synagogue and everything, they all reunite on the ground and everything, and they're all safe. So that was the end of their plot point and everything. They'll come back and everything later in the episode, but the plot line 2 whatever is Dwight, Sarah, and Logan's people. So back at the camp, Dwight and Sarah are enjoying a nice cold beer and everything, and on top of an RV and everything, watching out for Logan's people, make sure they're not coming anywhere near the oil fields or that they don't find them. They're spitting shit back and forth until Dwight sees a truck off the distance, and it's Logan's people coming in fast from a distance. They pack up their shit and start to drive off really fast. Time passes, while Dwight and Sarah and everything are on the road and everything, driving with Logan's people trailing behind them, they end up running out of gas. Logan's people pull up next to them and they smile, and we see Dwight and Logan's people pull up next to them and they kind of smile at Dwight and Sarah and everything, oh, we got you and everything. And we actually get to see the guy that Dwight let go and everything in a couple of episodes ago, and clearly the guy did not learn his lesson on to get be a better person. Dwight and Sarah load their guns and preparing for a fight until all of a sudden Logan's people get kind of spooked off and drive off. Sarah and Dwight wonder what it was that scared them off and everything until they kind of look in the rearview mirror and see the convoy and everything everything with the SWAT truck. It's John, June, Charlie, and the rabbi. They all get out of their trucks and everything and have like some kind of funny banter and everything and reunite. They all kind of drink some beer and everything. Sarah and the rabbi meet and everything. It turns out they're both Jewish and everything, and they kind of talk about making wine. Or it's like really funny. We flash forward to Logan and his dick squad and everything, and they all have found the oil fields basically, which is a very bad thing in this show and everything for them to find the oil fields. Logan calls towards his people to come towards him and everything, and him and Doris, I think that's what their name is, kind of talking and everything, and Logan's like, I'm gonna buy us the tickets to the promised lands, and then the episode ends with them driving towards the gates of the oil fields, most likely meaning they tore them down. Episode ends. Now on to the review. So this episode was definitely better than the episode with Wes and Alicia and, you know, Strand and everything. This was 10 times better, like, in every, like, ways possible. 10 times more entertaining, 10 times better new character, because obviously Wes, in my opinion, is such a boring and asinine character. And this new rabbi, I know he has, like, an actual name and everything, but I don't remember what it was, but he's a very good character and 10 times better than Wes is, because this character is actually, he's just interesting. He's nice, he's kind, he's badass and everything, because obviously, especially with his weapon, with, you know, the like, assault rifle with kind of the knife on the, like, end of it. He's just, like, a really cool and new character. Also, I like the storyline between them all in the synagogue and everything, like Charlie, John, all of that and everything was just, like, actually entertaining. Like, it was definitely a lot better than, you know, Wes and, you know, like, Alicia and Strand, I think, trapped inside the police station and all of that. That was, like, this episode was, like, knocked out, like, episode out of the water with entertainment-wise. Logan's group and everything, they showed some real entertainment in this episode and everything with them, like, chasing after them. I still don't think he's, like, a good villain. I don't like his group at all. I think they're just boring villains. Next episode definitely looks interesting and everything, because it looks like there's gonna be some battle or whatever, some, like, interesting, like, you know, war, just, like, you know, fight or whatever. Especially with them finding, like, the oil fields and everything, which I think is gonna be interesting. Let's see what they do with that, like, next episode. It's been very slow and boring throughout the season, I think, but I'm interested to see where they go with the next episode, since the trailer actually looks like there's gonna be some fire, you know, cool stuff, and some interesting conflict and everything. But this episode was definitely good. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode and like episode breakdown review and everything. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below on the episode and everything and on my opinion. And yep, make sure to consider subscribing. I'll see you guys later. Peace out, amigos, and peace out.